Picture Christmas morning in rural America, long before Amazon boxes, before plastic toys, before blinking lights shipped from halfway around the world. The house is cold. The fire's been burning since before dawn. Snow presses against the windows, or maybe red dust, depending on the state. A child wakes, not knowing if there will be anything under the tree. And yet, this is Christmas. Not because of abundance, but because of care. Tonight, we're stepping back into a forgotten America, one where Christmas wasn't bought, but built, where gifts were carved, sewn, canned, or whittled by hand, where joy came slowly and scarcity shaped tradition. I'm Clyde Chester, and this is History of United States. For much of American history, rural families lived far from stores, sometimes days away by wagon or horse. In Appalachia, the Ozarks, the Great Plains, the Deep South, and the high desert West, Christmas didn't arrive by train or truck. It arrived by imagination. Mail-order catalogs like Sears and Montgomery Ward existed, but many families couldn't afford them or lived beyond reliable delivery routes. So, rural Christmas became homemade, local, personal. A gift wasn't impressive because it was expensive. It mattered because someone made it. In rural America, the most valuable resource wasn't money, it was time. A father might spend weeks carving a wooden doll or toy wagon from scrap lumber. A mother might knit mittens from unraveled yarn or sew a quilt square by square after the children went to sleep. Common rural Christmas gifts included corn husk dolls, whittled animals, rag balls for play, hand-bound journals, pocket knives passed down generations. In farming families, children often received a new pair of boots, a coat, a tool of their own. These weren't disappointments, they were rites of passage. In many rural households, there was no decorated evergreen waiting in the living room. Sometimes there was no tree at all. In Appalachia, families might cut a cedar branch. On the plains, they used bare branches wrapped in twine. In the Southwest, a wooden cross or fence post served as the stand-in. Decorations were improvised: popcorn strings, cranberries, paper chains, tin foil saved all year. Candles, dangerous but symbolic, were used sparingly. Every decoration carried memory. Nothing was disposable. For many rural families, Christmas wasn't about objects. It was about food they couldn't afford the rest of the year. A ham, a chicken, sometimes an orange, rare and exotic in isolated communities. Children remembered Christmas by taste: molasses cookies, cornbread sweetened with honey, applesauce canned months earlier. In African American rural communities, especially in the South, Christmas meals were acts of resistance, moments of dignity in the face of poverty and segregation. A full table, even once a year, meant survival and celebration. Here's a truth modern America rarely confronts. Some rural children received nothing. No toys, no stockings, no tree. And yet many later recalled those Christmases as meaningful. Why? Because the gift was presence. Family gathered from miles away. Stories were told. Songs were sung. In coal towns, logging camps, and sharecropper cabins, Christmas was sometimes just a pause in hardship, a moment to breathe. Church played a central role in rural Christmas. Not megachurches, small wooden chapels, one-room schoolhouses doubling as sanctuaries. Community Christmas programs included scripture readings, handwritten plays, one donated toy per child. Often, these gifts came from church members who had little themselves. Faith filled the gaps where material goods couldn't. Christmas became less about what you got and more about what you were reminded of. You mattered, you belonged, you weren't forgotten. After World War II, America transformed. Roads expanded, electricity reached rural homes, television entered living rooms. Christmas changed fast. Factory-made toys flooded stores. Advertising created expectations. Scarcity became embarrassment. What had once been ingenuity was now seen as poor. By the 1960s, many rural traditions faded quietly, not because they failed, but because America moved on. Those old rural Christmases weren't perfect. They were cold, hard, sometimes heartbreaking, but they taught lessons modern America struggles to relearn. That joy can be handmade, that meaning grows from effort, that presence matters more than packaging. You still see echoes today in handmade ornaments, in family recipes, in stories told every December. They survive because memory survives. The lost gifts of rural American Christmas weren't wrapped in paper. They were wrapped in time, in patience, in love that showed itself quietly. They remind us that Christmas didn't come from factories. It came from people. From hands roughened by work, from hearts trying their best with what they had. And maybe, just maybe, that's a gift worth remembering. I'm Clyde Chester, and this has been History of United States.